Hey everyone. The service page was one of the areas where there were a lot of concerns in monitoring. So I wanted to take a few minutes to go over this service page. Attached, you will find this service page called Sample Student, and it does have the information in here that we're looking at. But a quick run through to explain this. Now, one of the things we commonly saw was one service area, such as emotional behavioral disability, and a couple of goals associated with that. And a few years ago, the Department of Education changed their opinion on this, and we have to specify more specific than just saying emotional behavioral disability and then having 2 or 3 goals. You need to break that apart so you can identify if a student were to move to a new school district, how much of that emotional behavioral disability time is spent working on a math goal, and then how much of that emotional behavioral disability is working on that social skills goal. So I would break that apart based on the amount of time that the student needed. Again, it is not always easy to specify. I understand that. But you just need to do the best you can to make an estimate of how much of the time goes towards math and how much of the time goes towards social skills, so that when a stranger picks that up, they can read that. So that was the number one concern we had, was in this area to not do that specific goal area. So please be sure you're specifying that. Another common area that we had citations had to do with the child-specific para support. If you're selecting yes, you need to put in this box some descriptors of what is it that the paraprofessional is doing. What is their job description? So if a teacher picks that up, if the para picks that up, they know what kinds of supports that paraprofessional is providing in the classroom. Assistive technology, we did much better. Just be sure you check yes or no. If you put yes, put the specifics. Special transportation is something we review more for the area of physical monitoring, and so more guidance will be coming out on that shortly. Much better job on extended school year. Before summer, you must identify your yes or no, and that was much better. But the second most common area that we had citations in on this page was in the area of least restrictive environment. This was maybe the most common area. But there are 2 questions you must answer in least restrictive environment. What is the child missing in the general education setting, and why? So be sure you're paying attention to those red words up there. They're there as guidance for you when you're writing that IEP. So what is the child missing in the general education environment? So then we want to look back up to that service grid and identify what is the child missing during math time. Are they pulled out of the math class entirely, or do they come at a different time? And if so, what are they missing? And then what are they missing for that social skills time as well? And then why? Just because a child has a disability doesn't mean they need to be serviced in a special education setting. Why is it that that child needs a special education setting? Perhaps it's because they're working on skills that their peers have already mastered. Perhaps they need a distraction-free environment. Other examples are provided for you, but you do need to put why. Another common issue was that this grid down here didn't match the grid up here. And I understand there are 5,000 boxes you fill in, and so it's hard to remember whether or not you filled this in. You have to be sure that this gets updated every year so that it reflects the service grid. And it's a good idea to do those at the same time. If you change something on the service grid, go down automatically and identify in there what is the child missing and why. So that is an example of the service page. Sample Student, which has all this guidance in here, is attached to this video. So you can use those as quick reference. And I do appreciate all your work. I know that these become very putsy, but it is really appreciated and much easier just to do it right the first time. So thank you so much for all your work for kids.